Hello. We are ready to talk about marketing today. And marketing is also a very long theme to talk about. We've discussed how do you go about starting to sell your dolls, the things you need to cover, some things I've given you things that you ought to research depending on where you live. And then we went into, I gave you a little bit of overview of different pricing scenarios that you might consider. Maybe you just want to cover your supplies and a bit of money on top of that. Maybe you want to be a bit more business oriented and make sure that you're getting that you're getting paid for the many hours that you work on your dolls. And so today we're going to talk about the many different ways in which you can start to market your dolls, because it's not just about creating uber high quality and beautiful dolls, and it's not just about writing awesome listings and thinking of keywords and taking beautiful photographs to display your work at its best advantage. That doesn't, just because you made a beautiful high quality doll and you have set up a shop and you have a website and you take brilliant photos of it and write a really good listing description, that is not just going to create a sale. You have to, in this day and age, I would say you have to work really hard or just be really patient, and over the years you'll create a market. But there are different things that you can do, or more or less different avenues that you can take to market your dolls. Please know that you don't have to do them all at once. I would advise you to focus on one platform and one strategy, master it really well, make sure you understand everything, you've given it your best effort, and then add something else. Because if you try to do everything that I'm going to show you, you're going to burn out. You're basically going to snuff out the fun of making dolls and trying to find them homes. We're going to be talking about social media. We're going to be talking about search engines. I'm going to tell you about, again, reinforce to you the idea that I highly recommend you have a website. We're going to talk a little bit about email marketing and about ads, because there's always ads. You can always pay to drive traffic to your doll listings. And then I'm going to give you a few tips and recommendations at the very end. The most obvious way in which you can start to bring traffic and awareness of your work is through social media. Why? Because it's free, because there's billions of people on Instagram and Facebook, because it's really simple and easy to use, and because it's very visual. So you can create a business account on Facebook, a business page. You can create a business account on Instagram, a business profile. Why is it better to have a business than a personal account? For several reasons. You can, if you have a Facebook business page, instead of just using your personal page to advertise your work, well, it doesn't look very professional, right? You are doing this as a business. You want to give the impression to everybody that this is something serious, that you are invested doll maker, right? Not something that is just like, oh, here, made a doll, buy it, blah blah blah. If you have business page on Facebook, you can have a link to your website. It gives you really good stats on who your audience is, who's the people that is interacting with your business page. And then later when we talk about ads, then you can promote your content to people who have no idea you even exist, right? It is a very good way, very fast way to display your work, to show dolls in progress. I think Facebook is more geared to, as you're making things, is like more chatty, it's I think Instagram, the people that are on Instagram expect a higher quality of visuals from you, and by visuals I mean photography. And it's much simpler to use in the sense that you just scroll on your phone or on your computer, and you don't have like as much noise as you would get on Facebook from like all the ads and all the crap all around it. Whereas Instagram is like really focused on the photography, right? So people would pay a little bit more attention to what you're actually showing them, whereas Facebook can be a little bit more, like I said, chatty and everything. And you can create a group page for your dolls, so that other people can join in and ask you questions or show photos of their dolls that they bought from you, which you don't have the option to have groups like that on Instagram. And then if you have a business Instagram profile, which let me tell you, I just did it for the longest time, it was just a personal profile, but it gives you better stats on how your content is performing. If you have a business profile, you can have the insights, right? You can see how many people have saved the photo, how many people like it, how many comments it has, which is not a measure for you to like, oh my God, look at how many likes I have. It's a tool for you to understand which of your photos or which of your captions is resonating better with the people that are looking at it, so that you can learn from it and produce more content or take photos with that similar concept, lighting, colors, etc., etc. So you can always use both the Facebook insights and the Instagram insights to learn what is resonating with people, okay? If I'm going to suggest high volume hashtags and low volume hashtags, you want to use both. You don't want to use just the hashtag handmade doll, because so many people use that hashtag that maybe not, you're going to be like diluted more quickly. You want to use specific hashtags of what's in your photo. You want to use your business hashtag. It's not very cool if I'm going to put this on the PDF as well. If you use, for example, the hashtag of some other business owner, just because people are going to be looking at that hashtag and your doll is showing up there, that's not very nice, right? You want your business hashtag to create motion. You just don't want to show up on someone else's business hashtag. You want to include hashtags that people are using them who are your potential customers. So if you are selling really simple dolls, think about who might be looking for simple dolls or for baby dolls or for toddler dolls. Look at different accounts of people that might be your potential customers. Look at the hashtags they use and try to create content that can match in those hashtags so that you can use it effectively, and then the other people that are using that hashtag can see, oh, look, I just found a doll and it's lovely, and this person has a beautiful account and she has a store, and I'm gonna go check it out, and I'm gonna bookmark it, or I'm gonna put it in my favorites because next month I have a birthday party or I want to buy something for my daughter. That's how people start getting to know you. That's how they start to follow you. Then you have search engines, right? And I put on search engines Google, Pinterest, and YouTube because that's how I use them. And that's how I think of them. And that's how the majority of people use them. So obviously, you want to, if somebody pops on Google, handmade Waldorf style dolls or cute baby gifts or something, those keywords have tons and tons of results. So it's very unlikely that you will pop in those search and those search lists. So, but to be on Google, you would have to have a website. I think that's the most convenient and the most productive way that you can focus on search engine optimization if you have a website and you have a blog. But Pinterest is really simple to use, is extremely visual, and a lot of the people like the Facebook and Instagram and Pinterest, they all tell you more or less what is the average amount that people on that platform spend. So, for example, and Pinterest is one of the highest because the majority of people that use Pinterest are looking for things, and then they have their own private boards, and they totally use it for shopping, right? They go and they look for what they want because it's all visual, right? And they go straight to the link and then they find what they need. So they might have a board for decorating, they might have a board for gifts, they might have a board for their own child, decor and toys. So they use their boards as potential shopping baskets. So it's really simple to use. I will also advise you to have a business Pinterest account because it also gives you insights. It tells you what is the age range of the people that most likely come to your your audience, right? Who's looking at your pins? Are they mostly female? Where do they live? Right? So then you can say, oh, holy smokes, I thought the majority of my audience was going to be in Canada, but no, the majority of my audience is in Australia and the US, or it's in the UK. I have a lot of people in the UK, right? So all of those things are gonna help you when you're trying to create dolls that are seasonal to match the holidays in those countries, because you already know that people from those countries follow you or they are your audience. You can also claim your domain. You don't have to have a website, obviously, to have a Pinterest business profile. You can claim your Etsy shop, right? You can say, I own this Etsy shop. It's a really simple procedure to claim your domain. And it's very important as these platforms evolve that you are always up to date in like their policies and the things because they tell you which is their preferred format, how to increase visibility for your pins, etc. So eventually you can say, oh, the things that were happening 2 years ago, the ways that we were putting pins on Pinterest, it doesn't work like that anymore. When I started using it, you hashtags didn't exist on Pinterest. It was all keywords, and now you can use hashtags. It's a smart feed, so as someone clicks on a photo, the following photos change. That means that if someone clicks on a similar doll to the ones you sell, your chances of popping up next on their feed increases, right? And obviously on Google, on Pinterest, on YouTube, you can have ads the same way that you can have ads on Instagram and Facebook. But like I said at the beginning, you don't have to do them all at once. I will talk about this more at the end. But Pinterest, if I had to recommend you one social media, I would say it would be hard for me to choose between Facebook or Instagram because I know they both can be really good for you. I know some of my friends don't have Instagram. They're highly successful doll makers. They sell their dolls really well, and they're only on Facebook. That's what they use as their main means of communication and like interaction. I also know that some of my friends don't have a Pinterest account or don't have a website, or they don't even use YouTube for their doll making. So I'm just giving you options so you have more stuff to consider and figure out which one would work for you because you feel more attuned to work with that one first. And obviously YouTube, right? I would say that yes, YouTube can also be really good for you to drive traffic to your store listings, like I mentioned it on the first IG live, except that is going to be the one that is the hardest to work on, because in order for people to click on your videos, they have to be very high quality. They have to you have to take a few considerations regarding keywords and tags and all of that. Most people are not going to look at your business with very good eyes if your videos are very low quality, right? They might assume that your work is low quality because your videos are low quality. So, and to create high quality video is very time consuming. It doesn't just involve having a good digital camera that takes great video. It involves using software to edit the videos, adding music, adding cards, etc., etc. So it is really time consuming, but it's a wonderful place. There's millions of people on it, and there's a little bit for everybody, right? So you don't have to create a video that looks like a motion picture, but you want to more or less match the same quality of your videos to the quality that you put in your work, to how you ship your dolls, to how you present your dolls. And so I do recommend you think of YouTube as a likely marketing platform for your work, but I know that it's just really time intensive to create, and that's for me. And I've been creating videos for 2 solid years. For a 4-minute video, it takes me no less than 2.5 hours, right? And if you don't have a high following, you're gonna have to be really crafty on how you promote that video, because what you're trying to promote is not the video itself. What you're trying to promote is your store or your doll listing, and that's much more easily achieved through Pinterest or through Instagram or Facebook. So in this we come here to a website, and why I'm like so annoying always telling you to have a website, because it is like the hub for everything you do. You can do a small little video that directs to your website. You can do a small Instagram post, which eventually is going to be swallowed into tons and tons of photos or disappear from your Facebook timeline. But your blog or your website, it's always there. You don't have to blog every day. You don't even have to blog if you don't want to. You can just have a simple website with a few pages where people can get to know you more. You can have a bio. Who's this person that's posting these videos on Instagram, or this is always posting on Facebook such beautiful doll photos? Oh, look, she learned doll making and is now doing it full time, and she tells you where she lives, and you can see photos of her at work, and you make people get to know you more if you have a website. And there are so many platforms that are free, so you don't have to, if you're just starting, you don't have to have tons of money and invest in a really expensive website. The one I use is Squarespace, and I consider it really a really cheap yearly option for everything that I'm allowed to do with it, right? They're constantly changing things. It's like super easy to use. So I always, and a lot of my doll making colleagues have chosen Squarespace because I talk so much about it. It's they have beautiful templates, etc., etc. And when we go into ads or email marketing, you're gonna need some sort of landing page to capture emails. And I think the easiest way to do that is to have it on your website. You can always have a page that says subscribe to your newsletter, right? You can have the best photos that you've ever taken of your dolls. You can have them there in a special gallery. And you can just have, like I said, your bio, where you live, a beautiful gallery of your doll photos that as you go along and you learn more photography or you make up more dolls, you can always refresh it and have it there. You can pin from your website when you have a business Pinterest profile, and you claim your website domain, you have something called rich pins, which means that all your pins, whatever you write on the photos on your website, for example, if I post a photo on one of my blogs or on one of my galleries, and I am looking to show up on the Pinterest search engine and on Google for certain keywords, because I've done my research and I know which keywords I want to show up: natural fiber art doll, Waldorf inspired doll, handmade cloth art dolls, etc., etc. Those are the keywords that I want to show up. I want to include those keywords as the titles of my photos and the description of my photos, so that when people visit my website and they pin from it, those titles and those descriptions are already saved into the photo, and Pinterest grabs them like that. So you were able to delete things and maybe they won't use them, but most people won't go through the trouble. They just want the photo, right? And they want to pin the photo, and so they are pinning your work with the keywords that you want to show for. So I highly recommend it. I know some people don't have one. They don't have a website and they seem to be doing fine. They've also been making dolls for quite a long time, and there are very talented doll makers. And not that you're not talented, not that you haven't been making dolls for ages, but I just think it would be better for you as a business to start with the good strong bones to build onto, and having a website from the beginning, and people already know you, right? They start to get to know you, and they're like, they know that's your website. They know that they want to find something about you or refer you to someone. There's your website. They don't have to go looking for you on Instagram or looking for you on Facebook or find your Pinterest account or your Etsy shop or whatever. They know you have a website because from the get-go, you trained your customers to go visit your website, and that's really important. Because, and I talked about this before on Stitchy Notes and also on my vlog, something might happen. It has happened to a few of my friends that their IG account gets hijacked. I don't even know how that happens, and they can't log into it because someone else took it from them, and so now they are a few days or a couple of weeks without access to their IG account. Terrifying. The same with Facebook. Facebook can shut down their business account. It's free. They don't owe you anything, right? Any of the following that you have on social media or Facebook doesn't amount to anything if it just evaporates in the internet ether. But your website, I mean, someone could hijack your website, but why would they, right? It's not like you're not like Sony. Your website is there. People can subscribe to follow your website. They can choose to receive an email, an RSS feed whenever you post something on your website. But if you're not blogging, it just stays in their minds, right? And every time you post on Instagram, it's on your profile page. For mine is Fig&Me.com, right? You do have to do the 3 W's before it. But so I highly recommend it. And when you go into ads, and you can have your shop on your own website and incur hopefully less fees than if you had an Etsy shop. So highly recommend to create awareness for your work, because marketing, that's basically it. Marketing is just creating more awareness for your dolls, getting in front of more people in the hopes that one of those people will become a customer from you. So then email marketing, really nice, really awesome, highly recommend it. Why? Because these are people that are telling you they want to hear more from you. People on Instagram, they follow you maybe because, not so much because they want to buy your dolls, but they want to learn how to make your dolls, or they want to copy your dolls, or they want to see what strategies you're using so that they can use them themselves. They want to learn from you. They're very inspired for your photography or your dressmaking. So you're gonna have a bunch of people on your social media channels that are not necessarily your customers, and that's not a bad thing. The more people that follow you, the better. But when you're talking about emails, most people that are going to give you their email is because they are very interested in what you're doing, right? And if your email, if your newsletter is for when you're selling dolls, then or you're talking about your dolls, most likely the only people that are going to go that far to give you their email address is people who are interested in buying dolls from you. So really important. I didn't know anything about email marketing until way long. I think I opened my newsletter in 2014 or 2000, yeah, I think something like that. So I had been making dolls already for quite some time before I even dived into creating a newsletter. And this is why we go back to the website thing. You don't need a website to have a landing page. Most email marketing platforms will create a URL for you to capture emails. And then you can figure out where those emails are coming from. So then you can say, oh, you know what? I share my newsletter all over the place, but the majority of the people that are coming to the actual landing page to give me their email address are not even from Instagram, where I've been spending so much time. They're all coming from Facebook. So then you can learn from that and say, well, you know what? Instead of spending so much time on Instagram, I'm going to devote more of my time and more of my effort on Facebook, because people seem to connect more deeply with me on Facebook, and that's where they're coming from. Or they're not even coming from Facebook or Etsy. I mean, from Facebook and Instagram, they're coming from my Etsy little shop announcements. So you know what? It has high visibility. I'm gonna make sure that I include it in all my invoices, that people can sign up for my newsletter and find out about what dolls I'm going to be selling before they even go in the shop. That's something really nice that because when you post on Instagram or on Facebook, or you make a YouTube video or whatever, you can have an idea of how many people have seen it, who has seen it, where they live, blah blah blah. But you don't have an actual, unless they comment on your doll photo, you don't have an actual way of talking to them more directly. Whereas with a newsletter, with an email marketing, you do, right? You know exactly who these people are. You know their name. You know more or less the area where they live. Like really, you can't see their addresses, but so you can say, oh, look, I have a bunch of people signed up for my newsletter in Brazil. Maybe in the next time I post a doll for sale, I'm going to calculate shipping to Brazil specifically. And so when they click on it, they're going to see that I ship to Brazil, and then they're going to find that really nice and really, like, they don't have to ask you how much and do you ship to Brazil or not. Like, they can see that you ship to Brazil or that you've already shipped to Brazil. Maybe you can even try to word some of your Etsy listing or website listing in Portuguese, because you know that you have a high amount of people who follow you who are in Brazil. Email marketing, you can do it once a week. You can do it once every blue moon. I would recommend you do it regularly. At this, I am both good and bad, and sometimes I send one a month where I say which doll is going to be made during the following month. But people that have a more regular doll making schedule, that are uploading dolls really regularly, right? Let's say every week and a half, you can send a newsletter 2 or 3 days before your dolls go live or before you put them in the shop, and you tell them, you say, hey, people, beautiful people, so and so and so. You include photos of the dolls and you tell them they're gonna be in the shop at this time, and this is how much they're priced, and this is what they come with, and blah blah blah. You might be able to give them a coupon or offer free shipping just to the people in your newsletter. I mean, there's so many. Marketing can be a pain in the neck, but it's also really fun. It's really fun because you can come up with unique ideas or with care ideas for your customers. You can say, I'm gonna give a coupon to everybody in my newsletter and they can buy these dolls from me at a small discount just because they are in my newsletter. They want to hear more from me. Or I'm going to do an upload that I'm not going to advertise anywhere in the world. I'm not gonna post photos on Instagram. I'm not gonna post photos on Facebook. I'm just gonna send the doll photos to my newsletter people and tell them when the dolls go live in the store and put them there, and then they can buy them. And then a day or two later, if most of the dolls haven't sold or only half of them sold or there's one left, then you post on Instagram or Facebook or on your website or wherever. Those things entice people to sign up for your newsletter because it's exclusivity. You are giving them exclusive things. You're making them part of your group. They're part of your family. You are doing things for them that you don't normally do for the mass of the internet world, right? So because otherwise, why would they just be on your newsletter all the time? If you do nice things for them, or say to everybody in my newsletter, if you guys buy a doll from me this month, I'm gonna include a special gift. You just gotta put this on the on the little notes in the when you buy the doll that you are come from my newsletter. Maybe you can use a code word or something so you know where they're coming from. And you're like, oh, this is one of my newsletter peeps. I'm going to include the special gift for her because she did go all the way to buy from me, right? I've done free patterns for my newsletter people. I've written free tutorials, free knitting patterns. I've given them stories that I've never published on my blog. I give them advance notice of everything I'm doing so that they know about it. I've offered discount coupons whenever I publish a doll pattern. So yeah, it's a way for you, again, to create more awareness for your work and to create a solid group of people that want to buy your dolls from you, right? And then there's also something really cool on Facebook, and you might not feel like what's the point of it, but it's actually really good, not just to create awareness for your Facebook business page or for your Instagram or for your website, but for your work, and to create friendships and get to meet people, know what's happening in the world that you particularly thrive in, whether that is cloth dolls or needle felted dolls or Waldorf inspired dolls or whatever the type of dolls that you make, porcelain, clay, Fimo, whatever, right? You can find Facebook groups that are devoted to that specific area of your doll making or sewing or knitting or shoemaking for dolls or miniature making or whatever, and be in those groups and see how people interact, see the things they're looking for, see the things they're finding hard to do or the complaints they have. Oh, well, you know what, I love American Girl dolls, but I hate their clothes are super cheaply made, or they have plastic shoes and I hate plastic or whatever. Then maybe you can create a pattern or a doll that fits the proportions of American Girl dolls and sell clothing for it. And the people that are looking for clothes for American Girl dolls are going to see, oh my God, my doll, my American Girl doll, can share doll clothes with that doll. And so now I have one more reason to buy a natural doll, because they can share clothes and I don't have to have 700 different sizes of doll clothing. And I found her because I was looking for clothing for my daughter's doll. But now look at this beautiful doll with this gorgeous hair, blah, blah, blah. I'm gonna buy it, right? So that's one thing. But you wouldn't know about all of these things if you don't listen to people, if you don't hear their concerns. So you know what? I got a doll, and the doll maker didn't even put her in protective paper or anything. She just chucked it, and the box got wet, and my doll was ruined. And the doll maker had super poor customer. You learn from the mistakes someone else has made. The whole journey of you having your own business and trying to sell your dolls is that you're going to be learning all the time. You're going to be learning about how to use platforms. You're going to be learning about how to make your dolls better. You're going to be learning about how to portray your dolls better, how to run a website, how to optimize for search engines. You're going to learn about social media, etc., etc. And one of the things that is really helpful about being in Facebook groups is that you are not just there with other potential customers, you're also there with your colleagues, with people who are trying to sell their dolls. And then you can see which of their dolls creates more attention. And obviously, you're not going to go and copy their doll, but you are going to learn from that. You're going to say, you know what? People seem to be gravitating a lot to this doll. What is it so special about it? Maybe it's the length of the hair. Maybe it's because she's photographed a certain way. Maybe it's the colors or the simplicity of the doll. Okay, maybe I can take from that, and I'm going to try to photograph my dolls in a better way, have better lighting. Or I was dressing my dolls super matchy, and the photos are not getting a lot of attention. Maybe people are more interested in dolls that look a bit more, that have lots of different colors, not like the socks match the dress, match the hat, match the cape. Or maybe it's vice versa. People are more into the matchy dolls, right? So you can learn from everything that is happening. I would advise you to be helpful and really friendly and not plaster the whole place with your work. You are there to make friends, to connect to people, and to learn from people. You are there to see what are the things that your potential customers might say about the dolls, what are the things they like, what are the things they don't like. Maybe you can see that a lot of them get really excited about Halloween. I'm going to make a doll dress as a witch, or I'm going to sell costumes for their doll, for that sort of size of dolls. You can ask questions. You can say, hey, I'm thinking of creating a line of small pocket dolls that will come in their own little bags. What are some concerns you may have? You can go into collector groups, and you can go into doll making groups, and you can go into dressmaking groups or knitting groups or whatever, or Waldorf home groups, and see, feel it out so that you can then learn from and apply those things to your work. And also, most of these groups have some groups are completely devoted to selling, so that you can just post your work there to sneak peeks, or actually when you have something for sale, so that they can see you. There's rules and everything. So some are just a thread that you can post your doll for sale. You can link to the Etsy listing or the Big Cartel listing. And in others, you can just post on the main feed and advertise your doll, the price, etc., etc. So someone was asking me earlier if I do ads, if I promote my social media. I haven't yet, but I know the process. On Facebook, you use a pixel, and now you can link your Facebook Manager for ads. It's the same kind of as Instagram. And you have a Google AdSense as well, which is the one you use for YouTube if you want to buy ads on YouTube. And then there's your Pinterest. You can promote your pins, right? So for all of this, you're going to have to do lots of research on how to create high impact visuals. That's why I'm going to devote another IG Live to photography, because you would not click on an ad if it doesn't look good, if it's not designed well, if the imagery doesn't call you, right? So photography is really important when you're trying to sell your dolls. But let's just say that I'm not sure if you can create ads, for example, for big cartel or for Shopify. I'm sure they might have some marketing things, but for Etsy, it's really simple. There's an actual tab on your shop setup that's called marketing, or yeah, I think it's called marketing. And then you have several options there to create a coupon, to create a marketing campaign, or to create an ad for the Etsy search. And then what you do is that you can have a small budget for your ads. Let's say that you're going to spend $5 a week on promoting your one listing for custom work, or a doll that you only have one doll in your shop and you wanna keep promoting that doll until you sell it, right? And so you're gonna spend $5 a week. You don't have to spend $100, obviously. You want to spend $5 a week, so $20 a month, which is really inexpensive when you think about it, to promote your shop. And maybe you do this for the first 6 months, or maybe you do this for the first year. You are constantly on the top of the feed for your keywords on Etsy until you have had a number of sales, you have had reviews, you seem to have gotten the ball rolling. Because this whole thing is, if you're starting to sell your dolls, or you're selling your dolls and they're not selling as fast or as and I mean fast is it's subjective, right? There are so many doll makers and so much stuff in the world right now that if you're selling your dolls, whether they take you a week or 3 months to sell, you are being successful. So, but let's say that you don't want your dolls to sit in your shop for hundreds of years, then buy some ads. Promote your Etsy shop, promote your listing so that it shows up at the beginning of the list and not at on page 3. You can also, you don't pin straight from Etsy, but once you're on Pinterest, you can create a pin, and then you add the specific link for your doll, and you use maybe a collage of dolls. Always follow the guidelines in Pinterest regarding the image proportions, right? I think they like 600 by 900. Make sure that the photo is really good, right? So that if you're going to pay for people to see it, you are paying for something that is actually going to drive traffic to your listing. And then there's Instagram ads and Facebook ads. I have 2 minutes left, so I'm just gonna go to my tips now. I think I took too long talking this time. Okay, so another thing that I recommend is, like I mentioned at the beginning, so that you have some seasonal products, right? So you know that most people are going to be buying stocking stuffers or small dolls for Christmas. Then you start making dolls in September, and you start advertising your dolls in October, and you put all your dolls for sale in November, and you offer free shipping. Maybe you calculate in the price of the doll because you can't afford to ship the dolls from your own pocket, but because at those times of the year, at Easter, Christmas, right, most people are looking for toys and gifts, and so there's better chances of you making sales. You can offer coupons. Like I said, you can have a small ads budget. And I'm going to reiterate, you are going to focus on one thing. Let's say you're going to dive and know everything about Etsy search, and you're going to work with it for the first 3 months. And then you're going to work with Facebook. You're going to do Facebook groups and focus on Facebook groups. while you already have your Etsy ads thing going on. And then after that, you're going to do Instagram, or you're going to start working on your website. Do not try to do everything at once, or you're going to burn out. Start with small steps, pick one thing, do it really well, and then move on.